A journey often begins with a step or the push of a pedal. It is usually filled with adventure, beautiful vistas, and inspiration along the way. But the greatest part of any journey is the story behind it. This journey, this story, is no different. Except the story begins long before the first push of a pedal ever took place. This story begins with a boy meets girl, like all good stories do. Nathan met Heather in college, convinced her to dump her boyfriend, and began dating. After a lengthy 2-month courtship, Nathan and Heather were married in the Portland Temple. They were blessed with 2 beautiful children, Senia and Kyler, and life was going exactly as planned until one fateful day in the winter of 2001.
I was snow skiing in Bend, Oregon when I was 26 years old. I went skiing with my brother-in-law, Andrew, and I came off a jump, and instead of kind of shooting me out, it shot me almost straight up in the air, 30 feet in the air. And I came down, landed on the back of my neck, and my body just collapsed on top of me and shattered my C7 vertebrae, and I was instantly paralyzed. I didn't realize it. I just thought I was a little hurt, tried to get up, I couldn't, and they rushed me into the hospital, and from there I found out that I may never walk again.
Nathan's wife, Heather, had been out shopping with her sisters when she heard the news of her husband's accident. She immediately felt the serious nature of his injury and knew that somehow she was going to have to step up, not only for her husband, but for her little family.
I didn't have time to be emotional kind of at that state. I was able to have maybe a good cry or two with my parents at their house, because that's where we were staying at the time. But other than that, it was time for me to step up and be ready to take on whatever I needed to.
A few days later, I don't remember a whole lot about the first few days, but having her come in and talk to me and say, "Hey, Nathan, I love you." And I wasn't able to talk to her because I had a breathing tube in. And so there was no way for me to talk, no way for me to communicate. And I think that was one of the hardest things, is I couldn't grab my wife's hand and say, "Hey, hon, we'll make it through this. It's okay. I'll take care of you. I'll take care of the kids. It's going to be fine." All I could do was blink. That was it. And to me, that was the most difficult thing as a father and a husband, was to not be able to stand up, even figuratively, and say, "I'll take care of you. I'll protect you."
Over the next 13 months, Nathan and Heather worked hard to recover from Nathan's injury with great success. Nathan had regained some of the use of his upper body and was even beginning to have some feeling in his legs. With the use of special equipment, he was able to drive again and was back at work. It could be said that Nathan and Heather were fighting a great fight and were winning.
So 13 months later, I came down with pneumonia, and in the middle of the night I went unconscious. Heather woke up. She felt prompted that she should wake me up, and she couldn't, so they quickly called an ambulance, picked me up, rushed me into the hospital. They've got me on the x-ray table. They're getting ready to take x-rays of my lungs, and I'm still unconscious on the x-ray table. And I fell off the x-ray table and broke my neck again. This time a little higher up at the C6 level. And after that neck break, I lost the use of my hands. I lost the use of my triceps and everything from the chest down. So a tremendous amount of what I had worked so hard for that past year, to get back that strength, to get back those dreams, everything that I had wanted, it had been ripped out from under me.
Once an adventurous person, Nathan began to realize that he would never be able to take his children hiking in the woods, or throw a baseball back and forth in his front yard, or even dance with his lovely wife Heather again. Those thoughts silently pushed Nathan into a second paralytic state. He became mentally and spiritually paralyzed. He became frozen. He was crippled by his fears, and eventually began losing his desire to keep trying to get better. Heather could see how this was affecting him and applied her faith and energy to helping Nathan discover how he could make his condition not a disability, but an ability to change the world around him for good.
So after Nate broke his neck the second time, we definitely had to decide whether or not we were still on board or if we're just done with this. And for us, we just decided we needed to say, bring it on. And actually, Nate, right after he broke his neck, as he was able to kind of come to with a little more oxygen, he actually said, bring it on, before his second surgery. And I knew right then that if he had the strength to go ahead and keep going through this hard time, that I too could keep pushing, and that as a family, we were gonna be able to make this. And so as a family mantra that we've kind of taken on is living unfrozen. So taking that not only physical state of not being able to do as much stuff, but that mental state of being frozen and living by fear and living out of just the unknown. We didn't want a part of that. We wanted to continue with being adventurous and traveling, making a difference in people's lives. And so living unfrozen has just become part of everything that we do now as a family.
Living unfrozen, overcoming fears, enduring challenges. Not easy words for any family to live by, but those acquainted with the Ogdens would tell you this describes their family. Since the accident, Nathan and Heather were blessed to be able to have 2 more daughters, Mulaney and Cortland, which completed their beautiful family. And even with Nathan's paralysis, as a family, they have gone hiking, rappelling, and doing many wonderful family adventures together. But most important, they have learned to serve other people together. This instinctive desire for adventure, for doing hard things together, and for serving others led Heather to come up with a new idea for their family to do.
March, I came down with a sinus infection, and that sinus infection just threw me in bed. And I was there for a couple of days. And as Nate knows, when I have idle time on my hands, that isn't always the best thing, because my mind really starts coming up with creative ideas and different adventures that we can do. And it just came to me one night, or while I was in bed, that we needed to do something for other people. And it was time to share our message with others and spread our wings. And the whole idea of getting wheelchairs to third world countries started evolving from there. And I told Nate that we were gonna have a family evening or family night together. And I just said, Nate, at this family night, I wanna tell you about an adventure that we're gonna take the kids on. He's like, well, don't you think you should run it by me first? And I said, no, I'm just gonna announce that they're at our family night. And so as everybody sat around together, I told them that I thought we should ride 1,000 miles and go from Bend, Oregon, or Mount Bachelor, where Nate broke his neck, to Los Angeles, and that we were gonna raise money for wheelchairs to take them to the different countries around the world.
The neat thing was we have some pretty amazing kids, and as she announced what she wanted us to do, a 1,200-mile bike ride in under 2 weeks, and we're not bike riders at all. So when we decided to do this, there are 6 of us in the family. We had 3 bikes and 2 of them had flats. But within 30 seconds, each one of the kids said, yeah, I'm in. And that was awesome. This is Mount Bachelor. We're in the parking lot of Mount Bachelor, where 15 and a half years ago, I broke my neck snow skiing. So this is where a lot of it started for me, is at Mount Bachelor in the snow. And we're gonna work our way down to LA where it's a lot warmer, and we're gonna try and thaw out our lives and live unfrozen.
I'm feeling good. It's been like, I don't know, 4 months of building up to this day, and I'm super excited to just get it started. So I think more of the anticipation and excitement is kind of taken over. Some of the stress and worry is kind of melted away as we're just ready to get on those bikes and get started.
Nathan rode the first leg because it was mostly downhill, but soon tired on the rolling hills. Thankfully, his nephew Mason wasn't far behind to help.
Well, Mason, why are you helping your uncle?
He just needs help. And I like to help people.
I like to help. This became a recurring theme along their journey. Senia, Mulaney, and Cortland cruised through their part that day, but Heather and Kyler faced an enormous challenge.
The biggest obstacle I'd say for us was the hill coming up into Crater Lake. And as we made that big turn, you just look up and it just kept going and going and going. And Kyler and I were just like, oh my heavens. And he was driving the truck ahead of me. And so as I made the turn and looked up, I thought, this is gonna be impossible. I mean, it just looks like it goes up into the clouds. But as we kept going, he made the first half of it and I pulled off, and then I was able to take off from there and do it. And it was kind of a cool moment that we actually had, that we realized we had to have each other to help get through that section. And yeah, Kyler probably could have, muscled through 15 miles of uphill, but it was that awesome opportunity as a family that we were able to pull together and realize this is what it's all about. It's about not just each individual doing their biking leg, but it's about also the support team that we have around us that's helping us get through this whole Share the Hope event.
Thanks to the teamwork of Kyler and Heather, the family reunited for a little break at beautiful Crater Lake.
Holy cow. Let's go down, Cordy.
No.
That'd be awesome. Kevin's struggling. His legs are cramping up, his bike was having a hard time figuring out how to shift it.
This brief
There's
time
this
together
huge
not only
chubby
allowed for a little
squirrel,
rest,
and it was
but
like-
to share some of their adventures of the first day together.
Yeah, I call him Chunk. I'll call him.
Or what happened along your ride today?
So, I was very tired, and so I closed my eyes for like only 3 seconds, and I opened them. I was off the edge of the road onto the dirt, sliding into bushes.
How did you react to that?
I don't know.
What did you do?
Did you fall over?
I fell over.
Uh-huh.
Right after that, I fell over and I went up, and I got back on, and I kept riding.
The experience of the first day set the tone for our entire journey. We were there helping and supporting each other to succeed along the way. We were in this journey together, and we witnessed a real feeling of closeness that could only be realized through this amazing journey we were on. I watched my children ride with one another, support one another, play with one another, and it brought our family much closer together. I felt we could have ended our ride at that moment and all would have been well. But the experiences yet to come wouldn't have been realized, and what I was witnessing was merely the beginning of the extraordinary moments that would forever alter our lives as a family and as individuals.
Mine doesn't want to party.
is in.
This? I know that. Any water?
I am feeling so good. I'm ready to go. I'm not even that sore, so hopefully when I get on the bike, it's not going to be a different story, but...
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm not too sore or anything, just a little tired from waking up early, but that's it.
I'm feeling good, yeah. I did 21 miles yesterday, which is the most I've ever done, and a little sore, but I'm feeling really good.
So today I will be riding 30 to 40 miles, as long as we don't need any extra miles picked up along the way. But that's my goal for today.
Now every day is like a brand new year. I throw my hands up in the air like I just don't care. I'm walking down the streets feeling like oh yeah. Fell at the bottom of the glass, now I see clear. So now I laugh just a little more. I'm getting much taller than I did before. I know I'm not where I need to be, but I thank God that I'm not where I used to be. I used to be.
There were many kind people they met along the way. One of those was a sweet construction lady. Senia and Mulaney met as they entered the Redwoods.
Let's see, first day I rode 42. Yesterday I rode 30 miles by myself, and then I pushed my dad, who's a quadriplegic. I pushed him for a while also. So far today, we're at 15.
That is amazing, absolutely amazing.
Isn't that awesome?
You guys are just this great beacon of hope.
Aw, thank you.
So many miracles are happening each day. If I can just get out of my own way. Well, life gives you lemons.
The Ogdens witnessed so many beautiful sights along the way, but one of the most inspiring was the beauty of the Redwoods.
The Redwoods were super cool, walking along the trails and climbing in trees and stuff. Those are really cool.
I think the Redwoods were really cool, but I think the ones that we're going today will be cooler because they're bigger.
Well, life gives you lemons instead of champagne. Don't worry, little children, and don't complain. Whoa, remember you're golden. To find some sugar cane.
One of the biggest obstacles they faced as a family were the rolling hills. When they decided to do this adventure, they only had 2 months to train, and some of the hills they faced would have slowed even the most skilled riders.
Teamwork and love will get us up. Love Mom. As the older sister, I want to be able to do the miles instead of making Lainey do those miles. Like, I want to go do it. And then, like, my mom hurt her hand today, and she didn't want to bike anymore, and so I didn't want her to bike anymore. But I'm gonna go catch him and get that hill.
After day 3, fatigue and discouragement were beginning to be felt by the family. Heather shared her feelings on Facebook that evening.
Hi Facebook, it's Heather. Hey, I wanted to come to you today after our day 3 of bike riding. We have put in, let's see, about 350 miles so far, and we are doing really well. I just wanted to come and tell you how proud I am today of my family and how much they have stepped up. Today has been a really, really hard hill day. And as I see my kids climbing these hills, I just think how awesome they are and how much they are really pushing themselves and fighting for such a great cause. And I just want you to know that we can do hard things. And it's not just our family, it's all of us, that we can all step up and we can do hard things. But mostly what I'm grateful for is just being able to see my kids and my husband step up and help each other. And when somebody's struggling, it's like a really hard hill, somebody else will jump out and say, hey, I'll take the next 5 miles. And they were also, the coolest thing is, when Nate was struggling and having a hard time getting up some of the hills, they would jump out of the cars and they would start pushing him and start running with him. And this was after 40 plus miles of biking. They would still get out and help push their dad. And I just want them to know how proud I am of them. But also, I'm so grateful for how much you guys are helping us, how much you're supporting us. We really need your guys' help. Tonight would be really fun if you guys could leave a message of encouragement for our kids. So as we have our family night, we could read that and just get boosted up for our next couple of days. And we love you all so much. Have a great night.
That night, nearly 100 replies of hope and encouragement came from friends and family and boosted the Ogdens' morale. As they awoke the next morning, spirits were refreshed, and the Ogdens were joined by some people to help them along the way.
I'm looking forward to seeing just how my family does. We've got some other friends, Phil Scott and his daughters and his father-in-law here to help us out, and I'm excited to see them ride and to just, I'm excited to see some new country. This will be fun.
Why is everybody telling me who I'm supposed to be?
So we had Phil and Rick and his 2 daughters, Bianca and Annika, that ended up showing up, and they stayed with us for a full 3 days. And he was heaven sent because it allowed us to, instead of doing maybe 35, 45 miles a day, to have some people ride 30 miles a day, and I think it really helped with the physical side of it. But besides that, he is such a strong mental person that he was constantly giving positive feedback and encouragement to the girls of, you've got this, it's just up around the next corner, you're a rock star, keep pedaling. And it was just really fun to see his family rally around to help our family out, where they live in California. We know them, but not that much. We just went to a conference with them.
The hills were still a challenge, but the Ogdens' attitude towards the hills began to change.
Going up that huge hill for like 5 miles, that was just like really like painful, but you also had to think about who you were doing this for and like what cause you were doing it for. And so every time you wanted to stop, you just had to keep thinking of what you were doing. Like think of the wheelchairs and think of the people on the ground and keep on believing in yourself and knowing that there is a top. And whenever there's a top, there's a downhill, and so you can always ride down afterward, but that's pretty challenging.
That evening, as they rode into camp, a few of Nathan's aunts from Utah showed up to help the family out.
To have the aunts show up in the middle of our ride just gave us like a whole new breath of fresh air. To physically have somebody new show up just brought a whole new lifeblood to our ride. And I really felt like they were the perfect people there at the perfect time, because they brought food and they brought fun and entertainment and just turned it into a large party for us. That it wasn't just us as a family, but our camera crew as well as the other riders that have been helping us the last couple of days just all sat around eating delicious food that we didn't have to make and enjoying laughter and fun. There was balloons, drinks. We normally were so used to waters, and it was so nice to have even just flavored drinks there that just made that section of the trip, I don't know, it really lifted our spirits and just helped us know, all right, we've made it through the first week. We can have a day off on Sunday, but we can do it for the next week after that.
Later that evening, the family took a short drive to a nearby lighthouse that Heather discovered earlier that day to take in the sunset together.
Well, it was very cold, so I didn't get out. I sat in the car in the heat while everyone else got out on the edge of kind of the cliff to watch the sunset. But it was a beautiful, beautiful sunset. The scenery was awesome. It was fun to watch everyone interact from my side. I'm just by myself watching it. To see the camera crew running around, flying drones and taking pictures, and to see everyone else and just in awe of the beauty of the waves coming in and the cliffs, and it was awesome. It was amazing. It was one of those moments that you wish you could slow down a little bit longer so you could enjoy it.
I think that lighthouse kind of stood as a beacon to me, as there's many things that we can do in this life to shine our lights to others, and I'm hoping that by doing this cause that we can be a little bit of a lighthouse to others out there, but also the light that I will see in the people once they get those wheelchairs, and I'm super excited for that.
The Ogden's purpose for their entire journey was to inspire others to get involved doing good things. Every mile, every hill, every step along the way was not to draw attention to themselves, but to be a force for good and bring happiness to those who needed wheelchairs. As the sun set into the ocean that day, the journey would be halfway complete as the Ogdens made their way into San Francisco. To travel 1,200 miles on a bicycle, one would expect that there might be an accident or two. There were a few incidents, but with faith and prayer, the health of the family was protected.
I was doing a lot of hills coming into San Francisco, but that's what it's known for, right? It's really steep hills. And so as I came into San Francisco, I had just climbed way up this mountain, and I just thought, our camera crew is nuts. They have sent me on the steepest mapping possible. I mean, it just kept going and going, but they assured me it was the quickest route. And as we finally reached the crest of that hill, we started coming down, and I was just like, thank heavens, I can finally start going downhill, and hopefully it's all downhill to the Golden Gate Bridge from here. And there was a biker that was on the side of the road, and I loved saying hi to all the people. It was just something that I enjoyed doing, and I looked over and waved and said hi, and as I looked back at the road, I realized I was not gonna make that next turn. And I instantly just started applying my brakes, and I just started skidding on the roadway. And pretty soon I headed off the roadway and down into the ditch. After I stopped the bike, I realized that just not only a foot from me was a cement culvert that I could have just hit head on and just went tumbling down into the ditch. And I was just overcome with emotion that I knew right then my Heavenly Father had protected me from something that could have been so much worse. My heart was just so full with gratitude that He knows me, He knows my family, He knows what we're trying to do here, and that we're doing it for others, and that He was the one in the first place that gave us this amazing idea, and that He was going to protect us and help see us through on this journey. It didn't mean that it would be without challenges, because after that wreck, my arm was really hurting a lot. I knew that I would probably have a few more days of soreness, but I had to keep riding through. The family was counting on me to keep going. And I had seen my kids and Nate go through so many challenges and struggles of their own. Every time I went to use that hand to brake, it hurt. Or every time we had to lift Nate up into the trailer, it was painful.
Along our journey, obstacles were just that, an obstacle that we needed to get over. We discovered that just like in life, our obstacles and challenges only have an effect on us as much as we allow them to. And as we learned to rely and work together as a team, we could accomplish anything that got in our way.
Crossing the Golden Gate Bridge symbolized many things for the Ogden family. It represented the halfway mark of their journey, but it also represented the bridge they were building to people who needed the wheelchairs. As they crossed the bridge, there was a celebration for reaching this important milestone, and now the family would take Sunday to rest and to recharge their spirits.
Hey everyone, it's time to check in. We've been out of cell range for most of the last week. So we are in Palo Alto, California this morning on Sunday morning. We are resting today. This is a day of rest. We fully believe it's a day to go to church, to learn, become closer to God, to serve others, and to rest. And we need the rest. The thing that I have learned the most over the past few days as we've come across here is we went to Crater Lake. How big it is, how we saw the Redwoods and how tall and majestic they are. As we came out to see the ocean, and it just goes on forever. And then we come to the Golden Gate Bridge, one of our iconic places in the world. And as we're crossing the Golden Gate Bridge and I'm looking down at the ocean and everything around us, I'm watching my family go across, I felt small. What can I really do? Who am I? I'm in this huge city with millions of people, and can I really make a difference? I'm tiny compared to the ocean, compared to the Redwoods, compared to so much of what we've done. And then last night I was laying in bed. I thought, you know what? That doesn't matter. I can make a difference, and I will make a difference. It doesn't matter how small you feel. You are powerful. You can make a difference no matter how small you feel. This is your chance. This is our chance. And I know it can happen. You're not small. You're more powerful than you ever imagined. So take what power you have and magnify it. Have a great Sabbath day.
With a little time to rest, the Ogdens were ready to continue their ride. They continued to be amazed at the views they saw.
The ocean. I love the ocean. I swear I'm like I was supposed to be born on the ocean.
The highlight of my day yesterday was probably all the views of the ocean. Riding along, that was super cool.
Probably the ocean, just riding right by it. I think that was very pretty.
So what were some of the things you and Mike talked about?
Weird stuff.
You do it one?
So, our butts were hurting on the bikes, and so I was saying that before this he was thinking of buying diapers for his butt, so it wouldn't hurt him. And so I'm like, you could get a great tan line with that. And so he's like, I could get some Mickey Mouse ones. And I'm like, that'd be perfect for the city. It was really funny because of that, because I had padded shorts, that was good, but he was like standing on a toothpick of that bike.
Mike on a bike!
We could write a children's book about that. See Mike bike.
With a lighter schedule, the riding challenges were kept to a minimum. However, Heather continued to worry about her children and her husband's health.
Having quadriplegia, there's a gamut of things that can go wrong with health-wise. And one of the main things that we always worry about is pressure sores. because if he sits too long in a certain position, he'll actually get sores on the backside of his legs, on the backside of his heels, a lot of times right on the tailbone area. And so that was probably my number one main concern, as well as just him being safe on a bike, making sure that he wasn't out in traffic or that he was getting enough sleep or enough nutrition. And so there was a whole list of things that I stressed about and worried about just going into it. And it was interesting, the first night we were actually around the campfire and we were planning out our mapping, and Nate ended up getting his leg too close to the fire. So people don't understand that if you can't feel yourself burning or getting too warm, you don't move away from it. And so that night, as we got him into bed and we started getting him undressed, I looked over and Senia and him were trying to hide something. And I was like, what are you guys hiding? And Nate finally said, she'll see it eventually. And they pulled back the covers and the whole side of his leg was just bright red, and it had been burnt by the fire. I have to tell you, at first I kind of got angry because I was just like, gosh darn it, I have put in so much preparation and time into this ride. We have so many people counting on us. We have donations that are starting to come in, and these kids need these wheelchairs. We can't have one silly thing like getting too close to a fire bring our whole ride to a halt. So that night, we put ointment on it, we bandaged it up. I said I forgave him, and we kept going. And that next day, it looked better. It didn't blister like I thought it was going to blister. And we just kept applying the cream to help keep his skin well. And throughout his ride, remarkably, he did not have any skin breakdown or pressure sores, which was amazing. Each day just seemed almost like an endless checklist of things that we had to get done. And yet, as we came in from our rides each night, I would take a deep breath because we all got there and we were safe, but I knew that's when a lot of my real work actually begun. That was with getting everybody's gear and doing laundry. It was when we would do Nate's night routine of showering and bathroom. And some of those times we were in the teeny area of the toilet in our trailer, and other times we were at the campground. One of the funny stories with being in the campground is we'd have to have it actually blocked off so that we could use the men's stalls to help him with using the toilet in there as well as the shower. And one of our guys was there blocking it off one of the evenings and then put up a chain so that people wouldn't come in and left. Well, men started coming in and using it while I was in helping Nate in the shower. And we got stuck in the shower area for at least 20 minutes after Nate's shower was done because we could not get out because there were men using the urinals right next to us. And no cell phone coverage was there. And so we finally got one text out to my son. And I'm like, Kyler, come save us. We were stuck in this shower stall. And so he came in, and Nate's joke was, Heather, just put your hood on and push me out. They'd never know it was a woman in the stalls with us. We had to use humor through a lot of what we went through because I was exhausted getting off my bike. I mean, I would ride 30, 40 miles a day, but then to know of the list of things I needed to get done so that we could then get back on the bikes the next day and that everything would work properly, it was a big load to carry.
Heather did carry a heavy load, but the children and the support crew did their best to help the family every opportunity they had.
I've had the opportunity to lift Nate up a number of times along this trip, and it hasn't been hard. Nate's actually not that heavy of a guy. Anytime I see Heather or Senia or Kyler lift Nate, the first thought that goes through my mind is, I can do that. I can do that more than them. They have to do that all the time. They've been riding 30, 40, almost 50 miles a day, some of them, and yet, why do they have to now turn around and lift their dad? Can't I just take that burden off of them? And I can't tell you the amount of love that I have for that man. Just He inspires me. To see him do the things that he does, it inspires me to be a better husband, a better father, a better person. And the little bit that I can serve him is just a drop in the bucket to how he's been able to serve so many.
I've gotten, even me just knowing the Ogden family for this short time, I've gotten teary-eyed just watching the family struggle at times, and then also been excited when seeing them and feeling proud, watching them bike, and I see them and I think, wow, those guys are so awesome. And I feel like they're part of my family too. I see them and I get excited for their successes and sad for their times when they go through troubles, and it's just been a great experience to share with them.
The experiences they were going through were definitely bringing them closer together. Before the journey, they had prepared for many flats, but not one bike had a flat the entire ride. Then one morning...
Hey, good morning everybody. Here's what we woke up to. Our back tire on our truck was completely flat.
Kevin's going today. He's going to another tire store. Don't do that.
Doubt is a broken record that plays inside my head. I try to turn it down, but I can't quite drown it out. I'm tortured every day. These never-ending worries pulling on my sleeve. So many times now I was supposed to tap out. All the walls would fall down around me. All anybody would tell me is all that bad news, how it's gonna fall through. But no matter what they say or what they say, it's gonna be okay.
We're giving out, we're trying to help and serve. Man, I can't imagine doing that all day what they're doing.
There is a battle raging in your heart, but you must win. It comes for all of us, saying we are not enough. So fight for your life. The world's gonna try to sell you some lies. So many times now I was supposed to tap out. All the walls would fall down around me. All anybody would tell me is all that bad news, how it's gonna fall through. But no matter what they say or what they say, it's gonna be okay.
Always what stands out to me when it comes to my favorite things that we are doing actually goes back to all the challenging things that we have to endure, because for me, I see the true character in each of my family members as well as our support team coming out. When we had the flat tire on the truck and everybody's having to rally around and fix the flat tire, when we've had spark plugs come out and we have to have one of our support crews sit in a repair shop all day long waiting for this car to be fixed. When we've had horrible hills to climb that kids are taking turns and we're driving past them and leaving the truck there for someone to get to so they don't have to do the whole hill by themselves. I think those have been my favorite times. Even though they're challenging at the time, you just want to cry. I realize how much we have a special bond because we're able to pull through those things together, and I'm so grateful for the challenges as well as the triumphs that we've had to go through on this adventure.
Riding along the miles of sunny beaches meant the Ogden's journey was nearing its end. As the final day arrived, a great friend showed up in their camp to surprise them.
Hey,
guys are so amazing. That's
Oh my goodness,
look at this family. Wow, you are incredible. I've been watching your... Kevin Hall and I met about 2 years ago, and in that period of time we've become pretty close friends. The neat thing is he truly believes in being able to help and to serve others in any way possible. And he goes, I can't be there, I'm sorry, but I do have a friend who wants to be there. Him and his wife are going to come down and they want to ride with you, if you'll allow them. Bottom line is, the next morning we get up, we're getting all ready to go. We're looking for this other couple to come ride with us. Then here comes Kevin, and he's all decked out in his biking gear, he's got his bike with him, and it meant a lot because he was so busy. But that night, him and his wife hopped in their car, strapped his bike on the back, and they drove most of the night from Utah to get down to Los Angeles. Had a couple hours of sleep, got up, and not only did he ride a portion with us, because we had 60 miles to go, he rode the whole 60 miles. None of us rode the whole 60 miles, and no one had ever ridden 60 miles. And after the second 20 miles, I said, Kevin, and I could tell, it was hot, he was wore out. I said, Kevin, come on, good job, let's get your bike in. He said, no, I'm gonna finish it. I said, you've already done 40 miles, Kevin. We still have 20. He said, no, Nathan, I have someone who said that they would pay me per mile what I did today. And he goes, so I will ride as far as I have to ride to make sure that we provide wheelchairs for these people who need them.
I always say passion. Passion means I'm willing to suffer for what I love. It's one thing to start something, it's another thing to finish it. Heather and Nathan have taught their children that they can do hard things, because they do hard things every day. And this family, they're a family of finishers. It's just, I mean, it's amazing. The way we started this morning, right? Come here, what are you doing?
I'm helping him.
He doesn't need help. We started this morning. She's like she has cycled her whole life. Your cadence, most people are like 50, 60. I mean, I'm a pretty below average, used to be endurance cyclist, so I've ridden a lot of miles. She's going, today she's going 85 to 90 RPMs, just looking around, saying hi. She's waving at people on the boat harbor. And they're honking and screaming. It was incredible, wasn't it?
It was incredible.
The views today, so just the honor to be here and just, be around this incredible family. I'll never forget it.
As they had done so many times along the way, the Ogdens were asked to tell their story to NBC Los Angeles. They shared their many experiences, their struggles, and their passion for this cause. As the family arrived at the Santa Monica Pier, Heather reflected upon this amazing experience.
So, as a mom, I knew that this ride would be difficult, just knowing that I'd be putting my kids out on main roads with lots of traffic, and they would be biking not only hard sections, but sometimes precarious situations or dangerous situations. We joked before the bike ride, I wouldn't hardly let Cortland go and cross the main road that goes right across into the next neighborhood. And yet now I'm having her ride 20 miles a day on Highway 1. And I, as a mom, just had to put some of those thoughts out of my mind, because it was almost too consuming to know that little Lainey would be out there, or little Cortland would be out there. And I think with this ride, that was one of the main things that I learned, is that we always try and protect our kids. We always try and make it easy for them. But because this ride was a little harder for them, and it pushed them out of their boundaries, it pushed me way out of my boundaries by allowing them to go and kind of just open their wings and fly and have
faith in them and trust in their abilities, but also to have faith and trust in Heavenly Father that He would take care of them and He would protect them, allowed us to grow further than I even had imagined. It was interesting coming into the Santa Monica Pier, and we were all riding in as a group, and as we hit the beach, I was filled with gratitude, but it wasn't as much as I thought it would. I thought it would be this huge just release, and I'd be so excited and just celebrate with my family, and it was an exciting time, but I just didn't have that release of, we're done, this is fantastic. And so we finished up with our interviews and got all the bikes back and locked back up, and we changed clothes, and we all, as a big group, all the support riders and our film crew and the people that were there at the pier, we all went to lunch at Bubba Gump's. And we sat down, we started eating this delicious food that none of us made. It was so fantastic. And I just sat there, and all of a sudden it hit me just like a ton of bricks. And it was just the pure gratitude. And I think in that moment, in that restaurant, I couldn't hear anybody else. It was all quiet. I felt this overwhelming calmness come over me that just had this feeling of job well done. You had done the hard work. You were faithful. You pushed to the end. You persevered. And that people's lives would be changed because of it.
Some friends invited us to the Boise State football game tonight. So we came down with them. It's the first time Heather's actually been to the game. Heather picks me up, carries me down to the seats that we were at. Some really nice seats. We watched the first half. Heather gets me back up. We carry me back up to get me into my wheelchair, and it's not there. Can you believe that? Someone stole my wheelchair. Look at the one I'm in now. Not quite as beautiful, is it?
It started as a way for Nathan Ogden to replace his missing wheelchair, but now it's turned into something much more. This all began Friday when Ogden was watching the Boise State game at Albertson Stadium.
I was carried down to our seats that we were in. At halftime, they're carrying me back up to my wheelchair. I'm a quadriplegic. I'm not able to move most of my body, and the chair was gone.
Initially, they thought someone had just moved it, but after working with police and BSU security, it has yet to resurface. Then a friend brought up the idea of starting a GoFundMe page to replace the chair.
I said, no, let's wait. We'll find it. It'll pop up. And finally someone said, I'm doing it. I don't, whether you say or not, I'm starting one.
The original goal was $20,000.
It was pretty cool how quickly people jumped on and started to support, to help me be able to get a new wheelchair.
Then came a generous donation of $20,000 by local businessman Ryan DeLuca.
When you hear the story and of somebody losing their wheelchair here in Boise and just realizing what a huge inconvenience this is and a huge expense it's going to be for him, I realized that they weren't going to find it, and he needed the help, and I was really happy to be able to do it.
Now the goal has been raised, but not to help Nathan. Nathan has raised money in the past for Chair the Hope, an organization that provides wheelchairs to those in other countries who couldn't otherwise afford them. Now, any extra money raised will go towards a great cause.
This is a cause that I can get 100% behind because I know what it is. And I will fight like crazy to help others to get what they need because I live it.
The family felt that because they had put faith in their Heavenly Father to help them achieve this goal, everything happens for a purpose. Nathan's wheelchair being stolen was a purpose that helped them reach their goal. Donations began pouring in, and with the help of so many who donated to replace Nathan's chair and at an incredible auction event, the Ogdens reached their donation goal for wheelchairs. Soon after the auction, the Ogdens learned that the chairs they were donating would be sent to Mexico. Nathan and Heather soon found themselves preparing to take their entire family out of the country to deliver the wheelchairs. But for the Ogdens, just giving away wheelchairs wasn't good enough. They wanted to bless so many others.
Okay,
Hey guys, in March we are going to Mexico to deliver the wheelchairs.
And we would love to take a whole suitcase load of love letters to Mexico. We would love it if you even used your iPhones or different ways of translating to actually write in Spanish so they can read it. But if not, English is great. Pictures, drawings, anything to let them know that we love, we care for them. We're sending hope for them so that we can not only give it to the kids and people who will be getting the wheelchairs, but also to the family members who will be there and excited that their loved ones are getting these wheelchairs.
The Ogdens were overjoyed to see the response to their Facebook message.
We have received over 1,000 love letters from Mexico, and as you can see, they are decorated, they are so cute, and people have been flooding us with all of these great love letters that we get to take to Leon and Oaxaca, Mexico in just about 2.5 weeks. We are so excited. The next thing we got though yesterday, which just blew our mind, we got from Soccer, etc., jerseys and shorts and gear. We got 75 t-shirts, jerseys, gear, stuff like that, a bag to take and to distribute to the people in Mexico, and we are thrilled. But we are so excited. The countdown is on 2.5 weeks before we get to start heading that direction and delivering the wheelchairs that we rode 1,200 miles for. So thanks for your support, and we'll see you in Mexico. Where you going, Nate?
Mexico. Heading down towards Mexico, San Diego today, then to Mexico to go deliver wheelchairs.
The Ogdens were finally on their way to Mexico to deliver the chairs. They arrived at nearly midnight at their first stop along the journey in the city of Leon. As morning came, the family arose with enthusiasm because today was the first opportunity to see their vision realized. As the day began, the family joined up with old and new friends and even sang happy birthday to Julio, one who'd become a great friend.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Julio. Happy birthday to you.
As they gathered for the first delivery, Kyler shared his feelings.
It feels super cool being able to be here now, and it's cool to be able to see my hard work pay off. And I know it's going to be a really cool experience giving out the wheelchairs. I'm excited to see what other people think.
As the family made their way to Central Fox, they were anticipating arriving early to help prepare the wheelchairs for the delivery. But as they turned the corner, they beheld the most beautiful sight.
I think from the first moment that we walked into President Fox's area that my mom and I turned the corner and there were, I think like 150, 180 wheelchairs all set up along this huge area. And my mom and I immediately turned the corner and I just started crying because it was like, this was a reality. This was something that was actually coming true.
Our volunteers, they helped us to fix to assemble the wheelchairs. So thanks to them, all of this is done.
They began to bring the wheelchairs out as people began to arrive.
Super emotional. This is such a blessing to be able to be a part of this and seeing the opportunities guys are now having to have independence in life and be able just to see their smiles light up as they have this new chance at hope.
Hearts were brimming with love as each person was helped into their chair. but one would pull at Senia's heartstrings a little harder than the others.
Vanessa came in and she had our smallest wheelchair. It was a size 12, and when someone said that they were gonna get a size 12 wheelchair, I immediately had tears well up in my eyes. I'm like, oh no, who's out there? And so we pulled out there, and her mom was carrying her, and my mom and I helped put her in the wheelchair. And she had a syndrome where her head was really big from when she was little, and so it was just too much for her neck to handle. We came through, and I kind of followed her all the way through the line, and my dad had her in, one of the ladies picked up and asked if my dad could hold her. So my dad was holding her, and my dad couldn't fully hold her, so I was helping, and my dad was like kissing her on the head. And I think that was really cool to be able to see that. And all the rest of the day we were trying to figure out ways to help Vanessa. And I know that I met so many people and had so many of their names, but to know that I remember certain names, I know that those people definitely made an impact.
Nathan took the opportunity to talk to each recipient one by one, offering them and their caregivers encouragement. After the chairs had been given out, they made their way into an auditorium to listen to Martha Fox, former First Lady of Mexico, as well as from Nathan.
After shaking your hands and hugging you today,
después de saludarlos y abrazarlos el día de hoy,
and even holding a 3-year-old girl,
y cargar a una niña de 3 años,
I commit to never stop pushing harder to give mobility to everyone who needs it.
Me comprometo a nunca parar de darles el apoyo de movilidad a quien lo necesite en este evento.
Afterwards, the family was invited to a private meeting with Martha Fox.
Know that every minute that we dedicate, as you do, for the good of the humanity, of the humankind, is the only way to make a better world and really to try to create peace. And that's what we need. Peace in our heart, peace in our families, peace in our lives, and creating peace for all the world. We cannot change it just like that, but there is always hope that this world is going to be better.
They were showered with gifts from the former First Lady, but the greatest gift they received was the love they felt for the people of León. The Ogdens then received a private tour of the Presidential Library, where Cortland was able to pretend to be the President of Mexico. The rest of the day was spent touring the beautiful nearby city of Guanajuato. After touring the beautiful streets of the city, the Ogdens enjoyed a little time dancing in the park with some of the locals. Perfect ending to a perfect day. Tomorrow would bring a new city and new adventures. The next day, the family took another flight to Oaxaca, where they would deliver more chairs. As they landed in Oaxaca, the family was greeted by the local Rotarians. As they rode through the streets towards their hotel, you could see signs of greater poverty in the area. After settling in at the hotel, the family was able to explore the city and take in some of the surrounding culture. No matter where they went, the Ogdens were always trying to serve others. As they went around the city, they also handed out some of the soccer jerseys they had brought with them. They were even able to explore some of the ancient ruins, taking time along the way to assist others with climbing the stairs. They even took in some of the local cuisine.
So we're about to have ground up grasshoppers. And so we got everyone ready, well, some of us who are brave enough.
What, Jason? What do you got?
I have.
Out of there. Grasshoppers.
Does it even have grasshoppers in there?
You got grasshoppers? Courtney, are you doing it?
Where's my
Mike's
cord?
got
We're doing
his.
this. All right.
Okay, grasshoppers.
On 3. 1, 2, 3.
Grab a grasshopper. Whoa!
Wow. Kind of spicy.
Go!
Grasshoppers.
Oh my god!
Chew it, chew it, chew it, chew it, chew it!
Later that evening, they were invited to an outdoor celebration at the home of one of the Rotarians. As they celebrated the evening together, the Ogdens were falling in love not only with Mexico, but the people. The Rotarians really knew how to throw a celebration, but the reason for the celebration would be realized the next morning. The film crew arrived at the distribution site nearly an hour before the chairs were to be distributed. There was already a line of people beginning to form for those needing the wheelchairs.
There's moments in a lifetime that give a soul a lifeline and give us strength to walk a lane. You are the grace inside of me. You are the face that's with me. How can I not feel so blessed? In a time when I am moving on, you'll always be my home. Open my eyes.
Every single time that you would see a wheelchair going, you knew that that was helping somebody. And every time that I saw a little wheelchair being pushed out, it just like tore at my heartstrings, because you knew that there was a little kid out there that was gonna have to, that was gonna be in a wheelchair for the rest of their life, most likely. And I think that was really difficult, but also super special to me.
I will never be alone. I will never be alone.
As we were going through doing these distributions, all of a sudden I realized that we can make a difference in this world. And I didn't think that we understood that when we first started. I think we thought of more of, we can do this great bike ride and we can raise money for these people in this foundation. But once we got here and we were amongst the locals and be able to see some of the poverty and see how we actually could make such a difference, it's changed us.
Open my eyes and know you're in front of me. Open my mind and know you're with me. Get through my life.
A lot of times, these guys are waiting for 5, 6, 7 years from when they're told they'll get in a wheelchair. And I can't imagine waiting that long. I had to wait 3 months and I was beside myself. So to be able to give that to them and to see the joy on their face it's indescribable.
The Ogdens and the Wheelchair Foundation were able to distribute over 400 wheelchairs in 3 different cities. Members of the Wheelchair Foundation commented on how the distribution seemed different than some of the others they had been on. Of everyone who received a wheelchair that day, there was one that Nathan felt a special connection with.
One was Adrian, or we would say Adrian. And as we got there, we heard that there was a man in an ambulance. And I just assumed, that was before we ever even got there, so I assumed he was already down in the building. And we'd already been there at least a half hour, 30, 40 minutes, and I heard the story. This guy's talking right next to me, and he was saying that we need some help we need a wheelchair to go get him out of the ambulance. And I thought, are you kidding me? It's like 80 degrees outside. We got to get back up there and get this guy. So I left everything we were doing. I had my daughter push me all the way back out of there as quickly as we could. And talk about a sad, humbling scene. And he's crammed in a corner, laying on a bunch of blankets on the floor. And I felt really attached to him. And I made a point to talk to him as soon as he got out to find out where he was paralyzed, how long he'd been paralyzed.
I had this just rush of emotions come over me because I knew that if my family wasn't blessed in the way that we are to live where we live, that my dad would be in that same situation, and that maybe Kyler or I would be the one next to him waiting for a wheelchair to come, that we could have our dad finally be able to have mobility.
16 years ago, I broke my neck and was paralyzed.
Hace 16 años me rompí el cuello y quedé parapléjico.
1 year later, I fell off a table in the hospital and broke my neck again.
Un año después me caí de una tabla en el hospital y me volví a romper el cuello.
You are powerful.
Ustedes son muy fuertes.
You are strong.
Ustedes son muy fuertes.
Never give up hope for what you want to live for.
Nunca pierdan esperanza en lo que quieren lograr.
I believe in you.
Yo creo en ustedes.
We believe in you.
Nosotros creemos en ustedes.
Your families are fighting for you.
Tus familias están peleando por ustedes.
The Ogden's incredible story. This story was never about their 1,200-mile bike journey. It wasn't about Nathan's paralysis, nor the obstacles that the family faced together on the ride. The Ogden story was always about loving and serving others. It's about you. It's about me. It's about all of us, and the difference we can make in the lives of others if we will look beyond ourselves and spread love, joy, and most of all, hope.
Okay, so if I were to say anything to this little girl, it would be that I'm coming for her.
The world waits for a miracle. The heart longs for a little bit of hope. Oh come, Emmanuel. The child prays for peace on earth, and she's calling out from a sea of hurt. Oh come, Emmanuel. And can you hear the angels singing? Glory to the light of the world. Glory, the light of the world is here. The drought breaks with the tears of a mother. A baby's cry is the sound of love. Come down, Emmanuel. Here's the song for the suffering. He is Messiah, the Prince of Peace has come. He has come, Emmanuel.
We want to show people that they can do hard things. That it's by doing something hard is where you really see the joy. It's where the enjoyment, the excitement, that's where the magic happens. Is when you go out there and you push yourself to new limits. You get yourself outside of your comfort zone. That's where life happens. And that's by living unfrozen that you get there.
Thank you for watching our Share the Hope movie. We hope you enjoyed it and are inspired to do bigger and better things for the people out throughout the world. There are lots of ways that you can help our family raise money for wheelchairs and our organization.
So here's a way you can help us right now. Everybody pull out your phones.
Dad, they're in the movie theater. They can't be pulling out their phones.
Okay, you're not supposed to pull your phone out, but do it anyway. So if you're at home, get your laptop, your phone. If you're in the theaters, your phone. Go to chairthehope.org and click on the donate button. Now, Kyler, how much does each wheelchair cost?
Each wheelchair costs $150, and that's hand delivered to the country, which is pretty amazing.
So $150. So at our first showing, we had 600 people there when we showed this movie. If everyone were to donate just $1, that's it, $1. That's 4 people's lives we can change forever. So if you can give more than $1, what a much bigger difference that we can make throughout the world. We have other ways that we're trying to raise some money to help others as well.
So if you liked our film, you can go to chairthehope.org to buy our DVD. Also, you could buy our dad's book, and all of the money goes to wheelchairs.
Help us to bring hope and independence to those who are in need.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
I'm just so broke you won't believe. can't get $1 out of me. And as far as I can see, I'm losing control like a bad disease. No, I just can't get relief. I've been shot down by the life police. Cause every day I try to rise, but I can't succeed. Can anybody find a cure for me? You can be bitter, 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 or you can be better, better, better. When life gives you lemons instead of champagne, don't worry, little children, and don't complain. Whoa, remember you're golden, so find some sugar cane. When life gives you lemons, take lemonade. Hama, hey, hama, hey, hama, hey, hama. Now every day is like a brand new year. I throw my hands up in the air like I just don't care. I'm walking down the streets feeling like oh yeah. Feel like the bottom of the glass now, I see clear. So now I laugh just a little more. I'm getting much taller than I did before. I know I'm not where I need to be, but I thank God that I'm not where I used to be. I used to be bitter, 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 and now I feel better, better, better. When life gives you lemons instead of champagne, don't worry, little children, and don't complain. Whoa, remember you're golden, so find some sugar cane. When life gives you lemons, take lemonade. I was saved for a reason that I can't explain. Got something new to believe in. I'm awakened again. So many miracles are happening each day. If I can just get out of my own way. When life gives you lemons instead of champagne, don't worry, little children, and don't complain. Whoa, remember you're golden, so find some sugar cane. When life gives you lemons, make lemonade. Lemonade, 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 lemonade. Lemonade, lemon. When life gives you lemons instead of champagne, don't worry, little children, and don't complain. Whoa, remember you're golden, so find some sugar cane. When life gives you lemons, take lemonade. Lemonade, 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 lemonade. Lemonade, lemon.
All right, guys. See, it's almost time that we need to get up and get on our bikes and we need to ride. See, we need to go on down the road and avoid all the cars that come along the right side of us. And you know, it's how it's.
Good job.